Everything happens for a reason.
That still hit. I forgot him. Hey! Where I don't know if he like stumbled over a line or something, but
These people who put their lives in my hands, who expect me to keep them safe, who love me.
Bitch! Alright y'all, welcome back. And today, we're going to be talking about episode 8 of The Last of Us show on HBO. So you're probably asking yourself, Dan, where's the video on episode 7? So I'm not gonna lie, I've been busy as hell for the last 2 weeks with work, and I honestly just didn't have the time to review episode 7. And honestly, the Left Behind DLC, the content that episode 7 was based on, is probably the one piece of Telu media that I have the least amount of time in. I've literally only played that DLC one time, and that was right before part 2 came out in 2020. And to be honest, I never really gave a shit about it. Yeah, I told the origin story of how Ellie originally got bit and how she had a friend who she was in love with and this, that, and the third. But honestly, I just didn't give a shit about that DLC, if I'm gonna be completely honest. And as far as the episode goes, I didn't hate that episode and I didn't love it either. I was pretty neutral on the whole episode. But one thing that I'm not neutral on was episode 8, which might be my second favorite episode of the series so far. Once again, the performances were fire, the action was fire, the adaptations were fire. So we're gonna be talking about all of that stuff in today's video. So obviously, spoiler warning. And also, if you're new here,
You okay?
don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date with me so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching and I hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let's get it! So the episode opens up during a funeral, and it's during this episode where we first see David and James, who is actually played by Troy Baker. And if you don't know who Troy Baker is, he's the person who originally played Joel in the first and second Last of Us games. But he's also played a ton of other characters in other video games and other types of media. But yeah, during this opening, we learn about David, who's a preacher and the leader of this group who's been having a pretty tough winter. People have been dying, they can't bury their dead because the ground's too cold, and they're also on the verge of running out of food. Now, even though it's subtle in this scene, I really like David's performance, and I also like his casting as well. He's not the biggest or fiercest dude in the room, but you can definitely tell that he has like everyone's respect, and he's kind of like the alpha of the group. Anyway, they decide to go hunting to try to find some food for these people, and that's when we're taken to Joel and Ellie. Joel is still fucked up after being stabbed back at the university, and Ellie has managed to patch him up a little bit, which is what we saw in last week's episode, but he's still not in great shape at all. Ellie and them are running low on food, so she decides to go out and try to do some hunting of her own. And I'm not gonna lie, when they showed this white rabbit on the screen, I thought we were gonna get that famously memed moment from the game.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
But we didn't. Ellie eventually finds a deer and puts her shooting that Joel taught her to the test. So the wounded deer runs off and David and James end up finding it. But before they can take it,
Don't! Drop your rifles! Now!
now David is able to eventually talk Ellie down by offering to trade her some medicine in exchange for some of the deer, which she needs for Joel.
Buddy boy can go get it. He comes back, you get half the deer.
All right, go talk to Howard. Bring back 2 bottles and a syringe.
Now in the game after this part, Ellie and David actually have to fend off some infected together. But in the show they removed it, and instead we just cut to David and Ellie around a campfire as they wait for James to come back with the medicine. And it's during this segment that we learn a little bit more about David and how his group came to be. We learn about how David found God and how the people chose him to be the leader of their group. And then we get one of my favorite moments of the episode.
Only luck had to run out sooner or later.
Luck? There's no such thing as luck.
I believe everything happens for a reason.
It does. I can prove it to you.
Okay.
We didn't expect this winter to be so cruel, so I sent 4 of our people to a nearby town to scavenge what they could. Only 3 of them came back, and the one that didn't was a father. He had a daughter just like you, and her dad was taken from her. He was murdered by this crazy man, and get this, that crazy man was traveling with a little girl. You see?
Ooh.
Everything happens for a reason. James, lower the gun.
Hey, that's still a hit. That's still a hit. I forgot him. Hey, that's still a hit. Now, I talked about this in my previous video about how a lot of the moments from the game weren't really translating that well into the show. Like, yeah, like a lot of the same like moments were there, but they just didn't hit as hard as they did in the game, if that makes any sense. Some did, but most of them didn't. But this moment actually hit as hard as it did in the game in the show. Now, even though David kind of has the upper hand on Ellie at this point, he still tells James to give her the medicine, which he does, but he definitely felt some type of way about it. Ellie grabs the medicine and takes off running. She gets back and then gives Joel the medicine. And we head back to David and his group where we see them preparing some food, which they say is veal, but I got a feeling that it's not. David and James show up and bring the deer in, but nobody seems to care. And that's because they found out that David has actually found the person who's responsible for one of the death of their own people. And the daughter of the guy who was killed by Joel back at the university is a little bit fed up.
You should kill him. You should kill both of them.
This was once again another scene where David's performance was subtle but fire at the same time. And it's something that was adapted, but it was still fire. Which is what pissed me off so much about Kathleen's character back in episode 4 and 5. Because like, even though she wasn't in the main game, like she still wasn't giving that character that I know that she was supposed to be. Like, even though like this David moment wasn't in the game, it still hit, if that makes any sense. But Kathleen's like whole character and her whole demeanor just
Whack.
But anyway, David reassures the group by telling them that in the morning they're gonna go out and track these people down and bring them to justice. And after that, they say a little prayer and then get to munching. Golly, they are dogging. And I like how during the prayer, like he starts up the prayer and everybody else slowly starts to like join in, because once again it's showing that like even though he just slapped the piss out of somebody in front of the whole congregation, David runs shit around here. The next day comes and Joel is still not 100% and Ellie is outside, I guess taking in some air, when she hears David and his men approaching looking for them.
Stay alert. If this man's not already dead, he's dangerous.
About the girl.
We bring her back with us.
We bring that girl back with us. She's just another mouth to feed.
If we leave her out here, she'll die.
Yeah, maybe that's God's will.
You about to get slapped next, Troy. Like, David's performance is so good that he doesn't even have to speak. Ellie tries to get Joel up, but like I said, he's still f***ed up. So she gives him a knife and barricades him in the house and tries to lead the group away from them, which doesn't really go so well. Not the horse. Now, James and the people want to kill Ellie, but
You so hungry for vengeance? Deliver it.
fire fucking delivery, bro. So now these people are left looking for Joel, and one of the dudes eventually finds the house that he's in, but Joel is able to get the jump on him and take the dude out. David brings Ellie back to their town and tries to talk to her and convince her to trust him and join his group, which of course she doesn't. Now the rest of the men that David left behind to find Joel end up getting captured, and we get to see the infamous torture scene from the game.
I don't know any girl. Oh, Jesus!
You're gonna point to where we are and where your resort is. And it better be the exact same spot your buddy points to.
Jesus! No!
Yeah, Joel is a
Why the
savage.
fuck did you do that? He told you what you wanted. I ain't telling you shit.
It's okay.
No.
I believe him.
No.
Now this was a good scene, but I still feel like this moment hit harder in the game.
That's all right. I believe him.
No, wait!
So we cut back to Ellie, who's trying to escape the cage that she's trapped in. But while she's doing this, she sees an ear on the floor and finds out that David has actually been feeding his people, well, people. And real quick, like during this scene, David has like a weird moment where I don't know if he like stumbled over a line or something, but
These people who put their lives in my hands, who expect me to keep them safe, who love me.
it was just something that I noticed. But anyway, he tries to explain that the people don't even know that they're eating, well, people, and he's just trying to do what he can to protect and keep the people alive, just like how Joel killed one of his people trying to protect and keep her alive. And he once again tries to convince her to join him, saying that, you know, they're both natural born leaders and they both have violent hearts and that she can really help lead these people because they're pretty much sheep, and he wants somebody else to essentially be a shepherd just like him and be a leader, and maybe even a little more than that. Now, it's not really confirmed, but it's pretty safe to say that David is a Geppetto, and he probably was one or something worse before the outbreak started. But anyway, Ellie plays along, but just to f Buddy up.
Tell them that Ellie is a little girl who broke her fucking finger!
Now, Joel, with the information that he got from those two bums that he tortured back at the house, is making his way to the resort where Ellie is captured, and he discovers Ellie's stuff as well as some bodies. So he knows that he's on the right path. Now, James and David come in to get Ellie to kill her, but right before she does, she says,
I'm infected! And now so are you.
Now, while they're both distracted by the possibility of Ellie and David being infected, Ellie grabs the cleaver and smokes James. Now, in the game, Ellie kind of has to sneak and fight her way through the resort before she's eventually trapped in the restaurant by David. But in the show, she's being held in the restaurant off rip and just runs out into the dining room after chopping James in the neck. So she tries to escape the building, but all the doors are locked. So she grabs a stick from the fire and tosses it at David, which causes the restaurant to begin to catch on fire. And quick side note, one thing that baffled me in the game, but even more so in the show, was where the f did all the people go? Because in the game, we don't really get a chance to see any of like the townsfolk, but we do see some like goons and stuff walking around trying to find Ellie and Joel. But in the show, they already established multiple times that there are people in this resort. Where did that woman or that girl who lost her dad or all these other people who were in this like cafeteria earlier, like, where did everybody go? But anyway, now that the restaurant is on fire, we get to see a recreation of the gameplay sequence where David is actually hunting Ellie in this restaurant that's engulfed in flames. And I'm not gonna lie, this section had me shitting bricks when I originally played it back in 2013. Like, this was definitely one of the most nerve-wracking moments in the first game when I first played it. Ellie eventually sneaks up on David and stabs him, but ends up getting tossed in the process. And then David goes full-on Geppetto. So unfortunately, this scene just automatically gets my video age restricted, so I can't show it and I had to blur it out and muffle the sound. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. My bad, y'all. Ellie's able to grab a knife and just like in the game, goes absolutely ape on David. Ellie's performance throughout this entire episode was phenomenal, and her performance during the climax was just the cherry on top. And I'd be very surprised if Bella Ramsey doesn't at least get an Emmy nomination for this episode alone. But Ellie then stumbles out of the burning restaurant, where she's embraced by Joel.
Look, it's me. It's me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby girl. I got you.
And then they walk off and the episode ends. And all I gotta say is, where the f are all the people who are in this resort who are just sitting around watching one of their buildings go up in flames? But yeah, that was episode 8 of The Last of Us show on HBO. Now, like I said, this might be my second favorite episode. Like, I think for me personally, it's tied with episode 5 for me. And it's honestly because of Ellie's, but mostly David's performance in this episode. David's performance was so subtle and strong, but also unsettling at the same time, which only amplified Ellie's performance. And I honestly think that David's performance was just as good, if not better, than the David that we got in the original game. And when it comes to my favorite part of the episode, it definitely has to be that moment where David reveals that he's been looking for Ellie and Joel. Because it was definitely the first moment in the show that was from the original game that was able to catch me off guard. Let me know what your favorite moment was down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, let me know how you felt about the episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? let your boy know. But yeah, by the time this episode comes out, the final episode of the T-Lou show should be coming out tonight. And they already said that they're going to be showing off Ellie's mom, and we low-key might get a sneak peek at Abby, which I would love because Abby is actually my favorite character in the Last of Us universe. And I wouldn't be surprised because the show has already been dropping hints to part 2 with showing off like Dina, showing us inside of Jackson, Ellie's horse. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a little cameo from Abby. But hey, we're gonna have to wait and see. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you want to see more like this shit. Oh yeah, and one time for the one time, let me get a ear.